I'm Steve Dangle, and you're listening to Stick to the Pod.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Stick to the Pod. Yes, we're back again, Season 2, Episode 12. Might have to double check that one, but Episode 12. And I'm not alone. I've got Graham Hamilton here from every hockey podcast you probably ever listened to in the UK. He's from Hawks Talk, he's from 4000 and counting. He appears on Zero Bucks Given with Ben every year to tell him that the Hawks are the best team in the North. He's going to join us and talk about an absolute fantastic weekend of hockey that we had last weekend. I thought you guys would be better off hearing a conversation than instead of me just giving my opinion on what went on. I thought the weekend was too big, too much fun, so we brought Graham in. Hello, Graham.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Another fantastic hockey weekend. The weeks are flying by.
Oh, no. And what a load of fixtures we had this weekend. I think we were spoilt by the fixture gods with that one, I think.
Yeah. Sunday had every team playing someone in granted Stars played Hull, but Hull aren't fifth place team at the moment.
They're no slouches, yeah.
No, and obviously I had the bottom four playing against each other. It was just an absolute amazing fixture list put together. So instead of getting straight into North 1, we'll cover North 2. And it won't be a quick one because obviously there's a lot of stuff to talk about in North 1. So just quickly go through what happened in North 2. No such surprises. The Coventry Blaze going to overtime with the Kingston Sharks, and it's the Blaze coming out with the extra point. Remember, in overtime, 3 points available, so 1 to the loser, 2 to the winner, where it's 3 in regulation. Might be something we will discuss is the point system later on, because I think it's having a huge say in the league tables at the moment. The Sutton Sting still 100% in Division 2. They are 3-0 on last season's playoff nemesis, the Billingham Buccaneers. They beat them 6-2. Telford Tigers also 100% record, fully intact. I should really look in the fixture list to see when them two play each other, because them 4 games are going to decide where that title goes this year. The Tigers 2 running out 8-2 victors over the Altrincham Aces. Moving into Sunday, and the Aces do get back to winning ways. They beat the Bradford Bulldogs 6-0. And it is the league's top 3, all travelling on Sunday, getting big wins. The D side, Ducks hosting the Telford Tigers, losing out 11-1. The Nottingham Lions 2 hosting Sutton Sting, losing out 3-1. And the Billingham Buccaneers back to winning ways, beating the Sheffield Titans 3-1. So just to quickly go through North 2 results. Coventry Blaze 3, the Kingston Sharks 2, the Sutton Sting 6, the Billingham Buccaneers 2, the Telford Tigers 8, the Altrincham Aces 2. Into Sunday, the Altrincham Aces 6, the Bradford Bulldogs 0, the D-side Ducks 1, the Telford Tigers 11, Nottingham Lions 1, Sutton Sting 3, Sheffield Titans 1, and the Billingham Buccaneers 3. So what's what for next weekend? Not a lot of games, just no, I can't be right. 3 games in NIHL 2 next weekend. 3 games.
What's that about?
It's madness. So 7 o'clock on Saturday night, the Coventry Blaze host the D-side Ducks. And then on Sunday, it is the Billingham Buccaneers hosting Nottingham Lions 2. Also on Sunday, same face-off time, the Bradford Bulldogs hosting the Altrincham Aces. Just the 3 games. Crazy.
No idea what that's about.
So that is your NIHL 2. I would run through the league tables, but I'm a bit samey at the moment where the league tables are concerned. No one's really moving around. The Sting and the Telford Tigers are both unbeaten. They are top of their divisions. I think after this weekend, actually, I'm just double checking now. Yes, I believe after this weekend, their cup divisions will be sorted, so we can certainly go through them with a lot more detail in the next episode, and we won't bore Graham with those. So moving into Saturday then in NIHL North 1, we'll just jump straight into the elephant in the room. Billingham Stars 15, Widnes Wild 2. The Wild travelled short benched. I was worried when I seen it. Although the Wild did come with a lot of confidence after the Whitley game the week before. That game was 4-4 going into the depths of that game. And I think Sean Kippen hat-trick with a late empty net goal took the Wild over took the Warriors, over the line with the 3 points. But you don't want to go to Billingham with a short bench. It doesn't matter if they are too. The Stars had all their firepower. Captain Michael Elder had a night. 7 goals, 4 assists, 11 points for the evening. I know on another podcast somewhere, someone said he was just an assist merchant. He must have been. He must have been watching. He must have been watching, and he racked in the goals. When you see fixtures like this, Graham, I mean, do you follow on Twitter, or is it your own team? You're not bothered about anybody else. I'll look at everything on a Monday, or is it on Twitter or X, whatever you type of person you are? And are you hunting the results?
In between periods, yeah, I think I'm one of them that's on Twitter. I still call it Twitter.
Always will be.
Yeah, just born in 1988, old school. I think, yeah, it's a bit of a ritual, to be honest. I think most of us do it that follow the league as much as we do. You're always looking for that upset from them teams that you could do with getting a loss. But when I saw the Wild and your result, I wasn't surprised. Really wasn't surprised. There is some very credible firepower and goal threats throughout your roster. I think I made some comments at the start of the season. I didn't think you'd added to it. Well,
I mean,
it's a bit of humble pie for me, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to a point, you were right. We'd lost Tom Brown to the National League.
Yeah.
He went to try his hand at Romford, didn't work. Thankfully, he's getting a bit of a sniff at the Steel Dogs. Hopefully, things work out for him there. The import rule meant we had to let one of the 3 go, which was Patrick Skrigors. He went up to Edinburgh Capitals, and he was going to be a bit part player there.
Yeah.
Thankfully for the kid, because he's a great lad. He really is. I won't have a bad word spoke about him. I think we've had our conversations about him over the years. He's a great lad, one of the best lads I know. I was buzzing when he got the job at Whitley Bay. And to be fair, I think he's improved their defence tenfold, because they were a bit leaky while he was sitting out his ban. But yeah, didn't bring anybody in. They brought in a new coach to help on defence, because Rob Wilkinson was basically work-tied. He couldn't really commit. And they brought in a young kid from Scotland called Conor McNulty, who hit the ground running, which changed the lines up a bit. It moved Roland's Grittins from line 1 to line 3, which is madness when you think about it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you had Sykes, Elder, McNulty. I believe it was Brown. Who was it? Brown, Shuggy Galloway, and Wilkinson.
I'm going to say Galloway, yeah.
Galloway and Wilkinson. And then you had Moss, Grittans, and Lucas Dowdle. That's your top 3 lines. I mean, I know they haven't been together much this year, because obviously Connor's on a 2-way. Mossy's been banned. He hasn't played the last 4 games. Thankfully, he's back for this coming weekend for a little fixture. But I think it's an absolute testament to the club to defend the title in the way that they are.
No, it's you can't argue with that. I mean, the results don't lie, do they? It's factual. You've had a great start to the season. Ian Brown's been absolutely lights out. Fantastic performance by him so far this season. And in that game, I think he got 4 goals, 3 assists.
And still wasn't top point scorer.
I know, it's madness.
And you had
almost Adam Barnes-esque.
Yeah, and then you have Chris Sykes, the sniper, who was 1 for 7.
Nuts.
So, yeah, but yeah, they're doing the shirt, the fans, the team, the club proud. I mean, I know it was the Widnes Wild that got the stuff in, but it's not just them that have been on the end of it. Hull have been on the end of it home and away. Solihull have been on the end of it. Teams who were meant to be challenging this year have been on the end of good items. Obviously, not played Blackburn as much. We played opening night, and
Yeah.
that was a very tetchy 3-1 game. But I still think Billingham were the better team and deserved those points. Obviously, they had the issues down in Solihull, whatever it is, they get cellulitis. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen for the Stars down there. But yeah, a lot of teams did write off the Stars for wanting for a better word. And I think we're seeing now how good this team actually is.
Yeah, I mean, you've mentioned it. They're having three stacked lines of forwards at this level. It's just great, isn't it? Like
I think
it's a
I
great
think
advert. Yeah,
yeah, I think it is a bit unheard of to have three. Obviously, we know about the line in Solihull, the line in Blackburn. Maybe it is spread out a little bit more now. McKinney's coming. It's probably spread things around a little bit. But again, Whitley Bay, it's probably one line heavy. D side we know was one line heavy with Wikowski,
yeah,
Hayuk, wherever, however, and Kennedy.
yeah.
They put all their eggs in one basket as well. And so the Stars are quite lucky to the point where they've spread all this talent over three lines. And they're not a one-trick pony. When you read the defensemen's names, you think that they're quite well covered. They're quite well
No,
covered. And obviously, Jacob Hammond's come in from a stellar year in Division 2, took the Buccaneers to a playoff title, and he just looks cool as ice. And when you rock up with half a bench like Widnes did, you're going to get on the end of an absolute annihilation, and that's what's happened. So my question to you is, what do the Widnes Wild do about this?
well, something they need to do something in terms of in that game. Like you've mentioned it on other podcasts and things like that, but you can only play what's in front of you. You were probably due giving them a kicking, just like we did. But how do you fix that? I mean, obviously bringing Matty Barlow in, it's a nice bit of business. He's a proven goal scorer at this level. He's capable of putting points on the board. But
And a place he's comfortable in, he's been there
yeah,
before.
yeah, definitely. I mean, that rink at Widnes, it like you said, it's almost like a bus stop, isn't it? But it it's very awkward to play in. I think from what players say about it. How do you fix that? I mean,
Do they need to commit to their fans and say, yes, we are rebuilding now?
yeah, I think so. Communication's key, isn't it? In any walk of life, and especially when you're at a sporting team and you've got people paying money week in week out to come and see you. You need to open them lines of communication, especially with the way social media is and things like that. I mean, things like this podcast, even a simple video interview with the GM or head coach or whatever, and just communicate that
Yeah.
information to people.
Which is mental because Widnes have good socials. They also have a podcast, which is quite a good podcast as well. They've got the means there. Just come out and say it.
Yeah, I wonder why why they're reluctant to do that. Maybe they see that as being weak. I don't know.
Is it because of the recent success? They were Morley Cup champions just 3 seasons ago.
That's true. That's very true. They beat Solway, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat
Um,
Solway. They beat Solway.
so, so is money a factor? That's a question to be asked because it's not cheap to run an ice hockey team.
They had Jake Witkowski as a done deal. There must be that around.
Yes.
They must have some cash about.
There's a question about should they have dropped down to Div 2 and then maybe look at bringing some of their academy players in or academy players from other teams, getting them across and giving them a chance at this level. There's that, but like you say, you need to fully embrace the rebuild, I guess. And
Yeah, I mean, I know it sounds daft, and it's not having a cheap shot, but Blackburn haven't quite managed the rebuild themselves because that academy just isn't there yet. It will be one day. They're working on it hard as they can.
yeah, they are. Yeah,
But
Darren's doing a great job.
but what they're doing is bringing in young, hot GB talent to give them a platform. Is that the way to go for Widnes right now, or is that not quite a rebuild? That is because you're relying on other clubs basically.
That's a great question. I mean, like you said, our academy isn't up to snuff. Darren is putting so much work in behind the scenes that all the academy team are to try and get it on its feet and moving in the right direction. With the Wild, with our pathway, it's a little bit different because we've not got that academy in place the way it should be. It's a difficult question to answer that.
Is it the region? Is the Northwest just
Yeah,
not? Is it just not? Is it too competitive with D-side Dragons, D-side Ducks now?
yeah,
Widnes Wild, Blackburn Hawks, Altrincham Aces, Manchester Storm, and the Manchester Storm Academy.
yeah. The pool in the northwest isn't massive. I mean, some of that, particularly around Blackburn, is that the majority of Blackburn isn't a massive affluent area. Hockey's an expensive sport, so getting them kids to play it is a factor, especially in the sort of current climate of things. And like you said, the pool's not very big, and the amount of teams is limited. And if you've got a team like Manchester Storm, people look at it like success breeds success, a kind of thing. So you've got a team that's in the highest level as an end product. You're going to want your kid to go down that avenue. And then if you're looking at teams like D side that have the Ducks as well, it's a quicker way into that pathway.
Yeah,
And with Widnes, if you're in that locale, in that sort of like Liverpool, Chester area, the both of them teams are on your doorstep, and then we're probably 45 minutes to an hour away. You more than likely out of the two, Widnes or D side, you're going to go to D side, aren't you?
yeah, or even yourselves who've got that connections with the Storm.
Yeah, I think so because our links with the Storm, but it's great. I mean, look at some of the players that we brought through in the past couple of years. Their academy's doing fantastic things. I mean, Connor Lee, who's now with the Storm full time, Josh Crawley, who's on a two-way with us in the Storm, he's training with them as well regularly. I think most days. Bailey Thomas as well. Liam Hine, some great prospects. So their academies are flourishing. So it's just attracting kids to play for your juniors that needs to be done across the board, across the Northwest. It's just a difficult one because it's such an expensive sport.
Yeah, but I think it all comes down to obviously the shite they're getting off the fans. They're gonna have to speak to them basically.
Yeah, it's true.
Obviously, we've seen Facebook comments this week saying that the league isn't fit for purpose as such, but the league's the best it's ever been.
Yeah, I agree
The
with that.
the best it's ever been, and probably got stronger the moment the Sharks left. But
It's a fair comment.
it's the best it's ever been. So if it's the best it's ever been, and you're bottom of the table after 14 games without a win, I don't think it's the league that you should be looking at.
Yeah, you need to be looking inwards, don't you? I mean, I mentioned it on your podcast earlier this year about that I think they should have stepped down to Div 2. As much as I love having a local rivalry, they're always good to have in hockey and well in any sport. And a away day that's about 30 minutes from a doorstep, no one can complain at that. But I just think it would have been the right thing for them. It can't be nice for their fans to be watching that every week, especially when at home we shipped 16 past them.
Yeah,
You've done that on your home ice. You beat them, I think, when you went there as well.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
it's a difficult watch, and they do need to do something and do something quickly.
yeah. In regards to their league form, then a win can change everything. It's 3 points a win now.
Yeah,
They are 5 points behind the team above them. But unfortunately for them, their rivals just got another win on the same night. Sorry, no, they never. The Skimmers
yeah,
took the Barons very, very close, which gives them a load of confidence going into the big game the next night.
yeah.
So the Skimmers, they do lose out 3-4 to the Solihull Barons, but if you're the Skimmers, you practically take that as a win.
I'd say so, especially with the caliber that the Barons have. I mean that there was three results that kind of stuck out for me over the weekend. That being probably the main one, the Barons and the Sims, because I just didn't expect it. You look at that fixture, you think that Solihull have got that covered quite comfortably with that first line, and
Yeah.
fair play to the Sims. Fair play.
I said on last week's episode that it was a massive weekend for the Solihull Barons if they had any hope of maintaining a league challenge,
Yeah,
any hope of silverware in the cup because it was a must-win game. But as soon as I saw that result, it was already 4-3. I just I said they were done. That was it. They were finished. They're not. I think their season's over. Um, they do go into Sunday and lose, and that's 6 losses on the season already. I
Yeah.
don't think Blackburn have lost 4 already. The Stars have only lost 1. I mean, I can't see the Stars losing 6 games from this point.
No, with the
So
form
I
you're on, it'll take a lot.
so I don't think they're going to get to them sort of levels. And I mean, D-side are stacked if they're fully fit. The Warriors are in good form.
Yeah.
They're starting to get impressive. And Hull are a dangerous, dangerous side. And thankfully for the Stars, they don't need to go to Hull anymore. So those are the little things that clubs need to look out on run-ins, and I just don't see it for the Barons. And then as we go into Sunday's fixtures, we'll cover it a little bit more. But they've picked up an injury now as well, which can be catastrophic for them.
Especially when it's an injury on their first line, which is
Yeah,
where the majority of their points come from.
and we've seen it last year when they picked up a ban on the first line, or was it an injury on the first
Yeah,
line?
another injury.
They went on a bit of a poor run, so it could hurt them quite a lot. So it was the Barons that ran out 4-3 victors in the end. They did get the win, but I think it's just the manner of the win. I think they won the first period 2-1, the second period's 2-2, the third period's 0-0, and that tells me quite a lot for the firepower that team has. So yeah, the Sheffield Scimitars and the Solihull Barons played out a 4-3 victory for the Barons. The Billingham Stars run wild on the Widnes Wild. Excuse the pun.
So what you did there?
Yeah, 15-2, and the Nottingham Lions lose out to the Hull Jets, who have a decent record on home ice. Hasn't been as good as it was last year. I think they've already lost more this year than they did last year.
Yeah.
I believe, and the away form hasn't been great. But I think the big game for Hull Jets was on the Sunday. I was confident of them beating the Lions. I know everyone's bigging up the Lions at the moment and saying how much they've improved. I've not yet seen it. Granted, it was a Nottingham team that came to Billingham without Padalek. I know he's a big thing, but I don't think he improves that result. I think it was 10-1. I don't think he improves that result much.
No, I don't think he brings you 9 goals.
Yeah, so just going to cover over Saturday quickly because I do want to get into Sunday. It was a fantastic day. I spoke about it on last episode. I spoke about it all week to anyone who would listen to me, especially you. Especially you must get sick of my messages sometimes. But no, the Sheffield Scimitars 4-3 over the Solihull Barons. The Billingham Stars 15-2 over the Widnes Wild, and the Hull Jets take it 5-1 over the Nottingham Lions. So on Sunday. Where do we start on Super Sunday, Graham? I'll let you pick the fixture.
I think should we go from the bottom to the top?
We'll go from bottom to the top, so we are going to start at the bottom end of the table, the way the fixtures worked out. And it was a big game. These are all, like I say, 3 points can send another team in. It can give a team a huge jump. Nottingham have got that little bit of a breather over Leeds and Sheffield off the top of my head. So
Yeah,
a loss,
about 8 points, I think.
Yeah, a loss there does give the others a glimmer of hope. But the Lions get the victory 7-1. And are the Leeds Knights taking a step backwards?
I mean, losing a proven goal scorer like Matty Barlow's a big thing in a team that isn't winning a lot of games. They're such a new team. When I've seen them one game against the Hawks, I've played the Hawks twice, but in the game I saw, there didn't seem to be much chemistry between the lines. It was very much a team of individuals. I suppose being such a new team, it takes time to build that chemistry. But I can only say what I saw, and they just didn't have that chemistry between them. They were a team of individuals, and Blackburn didn't need to get out of first gear, and the Lions just looked like they've done a comfortable job getting more shots away, staying disciplined, which seems to be a bit of a weird thing for the Lions.
Don't get me started.
But comfortable win for the Lions, I think. I think when we spoke about the Super Sunday and these fixtures, what an advert for the league, and I think that's one that you kind of nailed on that the Lions were going to win. To be honest, going into that game, so no surprises.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'll just reiterate the comments you said on Leeds there. I mean, I've only seen them twice, both 10-1 victories in favour of the Stars. But the game at the Forum, they were a much different unit. There was a lot more energy in the team. There just seemed to be a lot more cohesion between the players. Um, but the 7:30 game in Leeds, 7:30 in Leeds, Jesus Christ. Good job of turning an hour and a half down the road, if that. But yeah, I describe it as, junior teams when they first get put together.
Yeah,
Junior teams, so they've got no positional awareness, but they all want the ball. They all want the
yeah,
puck. So they all chase they
yeah.
all
Just
just
follow.
chase.
Yeah,
They're following it around the ice. And that's what it looked like on the Saturday night in Leeds. And I thought, what's going on here? Why is this going backwards? Every game these lads play together, they should be getting better. And it seems to have having a bit of a regress at the moment. Whether it's they know what it is and they just know they're not good enough yet, or they know that the team's there for certain individuals to get ice time before they step up, because they've got some absolute talented players there. Vengis, who's already had a sniff of National League. Dell is a great player.
yeah.
Uh,
Big fan of him.
yeah, Norton, the netminder, is fantastic. He's a great netminder. And that's just to name a couple. Who else
Fritz
is there?
Heinzel,
Fritz Heinzel, fantastic player. And
great player.
the young kid who left Sheffield, another one, fantastic,
My mind's
fant-
gone blank. Hang on.
fantastic player. If I can bring up their team sheet.
Here's one we prepared earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
Deneco.
Deneco, another one, another fantastic talent. So these talents are there. They just got to try and bring them together somehow.
Yeah, definitely. I think they'll get there, and like you've said, they've proved that they can put on a performance. Like I say, I can only say what I watched, but I'd like them to do well. We want teams to be competitive and to make this league a better product.
Well, the shows they could play, they were 5-1 down against the Barons a couple of weeks and took it to overtime.
Yep.
For what I know, people saying, "Oh, it was the Barons' fault. They were dicking about. They thought the game was won." But you still got to go and put 4 goals in the net.
Yeah.
You still got to go and do it. Graham Laverick's no slouch.
No,
Is
definitely
what
not.
is probably top 3, 4 netminder in the division.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And they went and done it and took it to overtime. And to be fair, from that moment, I don't think it's been very good for the Barons. I think they've ruined the Barons season from that moment. So it just shows the ability is there. They've just got to get consistency. But I think all teams would love that, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So moving on to the other basement dwellers, we'll call them, and it's another nail in the coffin of the Widnes Wild. I know we've already spoke about them in depth, but it's a 5-2 home loss to the Sheffield Scimitars. Gilbert and Barlow on the score sheet for the Wild, and it's Matthewman, Keeling, Crawshaw, Fall, and Dransfield for Sheffield, and they probably took a lot of confidence from that game the night before.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've mentioned it before about the Barons being one of the better teams in this league, although not right now. They need to pick it up a little bit, but that's a yeah, they would have had a lot of confidence going into that game. And with the way Widnes are playing, you're going to go in there positive after a solid performance against the Barons and really think you can pick up a result, and they did. They've, the Sims, they have some good players on that roster. Some players that can't be like sniffed at.
Yeah, and obviously they've got a few kids in there, especially someone like Matthewman, who's probably, if he's been honest, he's probably got an eye on that Steelers roster in years to come,
Definitely.
and
Only a young kid.
he's got the perfect pathway.
100%. It's one thing that I've always admired about Sheffield is that they've got that pathway literally from Div 2 all the way up. You, what a product that is.
Will they be wearing orange next season?
I think so. Especially with having the Steelers on their arms this year, I think it's the way it's got to go, hasn't it?
Yep. So the Steel Dog's going to take full control of the lot, and well, the Smith, is it Smith that owns the lot
Yeah,
of them?
Tony Smith.
He's going to take full ownership of everything, maybe.
Potentially. I mean, if you're going to build a pathway, you can't build a better farm system than that, and it's already in place, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it probably goes deeper than under 12, under 10s to seniors. You've got how many uni teams playing in Sheffield as well.
Yeah, there's a
So
lot.
you're getting probably, if a kid is playing hockey and he wants his studies in Sheffield, why wouldn't you go and say, well, like you say, if you're playing for a Southern N1 team or N2 team or a South 2 team or South 1 team and you think, well, I want to go and do my studies in Sheffield, but I still want to be a hockey player. You've still got that you've probably got a better pathway on your doorstep.
Massively, yeah.
So
Massively.
you could go play uni hockey and still enjoy it and play for your team down south if you wanted to. Or you can fully commit and go, well, I'm going to be here studying. I might as well give the Titans a go. If I'm good enough, I can give the Skims a go. If I'm good enough, the Steel Dogs will have a look at me, and if I'm good enough, the Steelers might look at me when I'm playing for the Steel Dogs. It's absolutely they've got the best of everything in Sheffield, I think, for attracting players because of the universities,
Yeah.
the academy is well known, and obviously they've got the team at the pinnacle of the sport in the UK as well.
Yeah, massively. I mean, and they've got the saviour that comes from down the road in Liam Kirk there, haven't you? So
Yeah,
it's the
yep.
perfect advert for their own development. And like you say, if you've got the chance to go and study there, it's a great city. It's a good night out, and you're putting yourself in the shop window. Why not?
I just don't recommend Pop World anymore. Unless it's because I'm 37 now and Pop World is now full of music that I wouldn't consider pop world worthy. That might be a different. That might that might just be it. So yeah,
A
we
lot of
can't.
penalties in that game, though, weren't there, against the Wild?
Yeah, 69 to 57. So I'm not sure if it was a few choice words and the referee not happy. Um, but yeah, a lot of penalty minutes in the game, and I don't want to go in and win this Wild again. I don't think I've got the
Yeah,
heart. I don't think I've got the heart to do it. We mentioned it in their Saturday fixture, but they need to do something. Whether
yeah,
it's,
100%.
and I don't even think it's an ownership change. I don't think it's a coaching change. They've just got to pick an idea and stick with it. And if that's a rebuild, fully commit to it.
Yeah, can and be consistent with it.
Absolutely, yeah. And it might get painful. It could get worse. I don't think we've had a team not win a game since Nottingham
Yeah,
a couple of seasons ago, and
yeah.
it's probably not a tag they would want. But if that's what it has to be to eventually get to your end goal, suck it up and just tough it out.
Yeah, but it's all about the journey in that situation. Just get on board with it. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's what Billingham did with Billingham's fans did with Billingham after COVID when they said, right, yeah, we're rebuilding. It could be tough for a couple of years. Thankfully for Billingham, there was some talent it's in that club, and it wasn't as well. I think we won the league title a year ahead of where we were meant to. So that just I think it was helped slightly by Solway leaving, but hey ho. uh, but yeah, we'll move on to the next fixture. It's Hobbs Moat Road, and this one's pretty much over to you. You were there. Tell us all about it.
What an outing that was. I've just got to say it first. Just get some plexiglass,
Yes,
please, please.
yes.
I tweeted that I swore that I'd never go there again, but there I was sat on the bus on
You
my way down.
can't help it, can we? I said I'd never go to Blackburn again, and I've never missed a trip. I don't think.
Solid performance from the Hawks. I don't think a player had a bad performance throughout our roster. Fraley was wearing the armbands. Completely forgot where his whistle was until the second period. I think he just wanted to get on for his Sunday tea, if I'm being honest. Only four penalties in that game. Both of our teams, I wouldn't say have massive disciplinary problems anywhere. Um, what a game that was. Got to give a shout out to Bailey Thomas as well, the young lad. He only recently turned 16 and it was his first senior performance in Division 1. Although in his first shift he did slip. It's like his brain was ahead of where his feet were and he slipped on the ice, but he had a really solid performance picking up the MVP in that one.
So yeah, from what I can see from the outside, Ben Kelly must have had a big game. It's not an easy rink to go to. The Hawks running out 8-3 winners, but being outshot 44 to 32. So Ben Kelly's had a big night there.
Yeah, superb, but always a standout performance. I've said it previously. I think he's the best netminder in this league. again, you were mentioning before about Billingham having a stacked roster. I think we've got three full lines of forwards now that seem to, when they're all fit, run together and really work well. 4 goals on the night coming from our third line of Lutwich, McKinney, and Davis slash Watson, depending on how they switch it up. And seeing Aaron Davis on your third line, he's adopted to that role quite well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, you mentioned it there. Two from McKinney, two from Nutwhite, Mayo, Cross, Barnes, and Roy's also on the score sheet.
yeah, what Barnes' goal was superb. Just I think it was a snipe from like the top of the circle, which is obviously Barnes' territory anyway. Just low glove side, just perfectly placed. There is a goal for the Barons that like it's one of the I don't even know how to describe it. One of the best goals I've ever seen. Just sadly, it was against us. Otterson loses his stick at their blue line. I think the puck gets wrapped round to him, and then he goes to poke check it. But Matty Cross, I think, lifts his stick up, but it comes out of Otterson's hand. But the puck's at his feet, so he like kicks the puck forward, takes it to the blue line. He's still got it. The Hawks defenders are trying to back check as fast as they can. Royds is trying to take the passing lane away. I'm doing a terrible job of describing this, but Race is coming in at the other side. Royds is trying to take that passing lane away. Otterson's kicked it twice at this point, and then sort of a free pass to Race, and he just slots it home. Like credit where it's due. Fantastic,
Very, very good hockey brain, Nicholas Otterson, and
unbelievable.
he's going to be rewarded with his testimonial this year. 10 years
Yeah,
10 years he's been a Baron. He's the captain now. He scored two on the night,
yeah,
um,
and an assist with his foot as well.
and an assist with his foot. So he's involved with all three games. But probably the worrying news for the Barons is the injury.
Yeah, so there was a collision between um, Phil Mulcahy. I've probably butchered that. I'm sorry, lads.
Yeah.
Um, there was a coming together, and Phil came off the worst of it.
Yeah, unfortunately, these hockey players do have work Monday to Friday, and
Yeah,
these injuries do, well, they can ruin a lot. They can ruin a job. I've seen one or two lads lose jobs because of injuries in hockey. But it's a fast, hard, physical game, and these lads give everything on a weekend for the cause. So best wishes to Mulcahy. I say Mulcahy,
yeah,
and hopefully he's back fighting fit very soon.
yeah. Because I mean, he's a loss to that team, isn't it? Because the chemistry on that line between the brothers and Otterson, it's undeniable.
Yeah.
It's fantastic to watch at times.
It's one of the best lines in the league.
Yeah,
That line can go toe to toe with anyone in the division. Not a problem.
100%.
And 9 times out of 10 come out the better.
Well, yeah, yeah, that's a fair comment. I'd agree with that. They do double shift a hell of a lot.
Too much.
Well, I suppose that could be a factor later in the season, especially now with Phil picking up an injury.
Yeah.
That puts a lot of pressure on whoever comes in to fill that spot, whether they can maintain that level of it's fitness, isn't it, to be able to play that amount
Yeah.
of minutes?
Yeah. I mean, I noticed it in Billingham when I think we beat them 7-3 or whatever it was, 8-4. They were double shifted all night long, but when they did get a goal back, they had nothing left. They were spent.
Yeah,
They were spent by the mid-second period. And when the third line's coming out, they're not really engaged because they know they didn't have the trust in the first or second period when it actually mattered. And they're not really putting anything together. They're just basically dumping the puck out of the zone, or they're just dumping it in the corners and going for a change quickly straight to get that first line back out. And I think it's probably hurt the team.
yeah. No, I think that's a fair comment. I mean, throughout the night, they were consistent until Phil had to go off. I didn't actually notice that he'd left the ice until someone pointed it out to me. Obviously I'd seen the hit and it come together and Phil go off the ice, but I didn't know he'd left the game. Um, I think throughout that whole night, though, Laverick had a good game. As much as the scoreline doesn't probably reflect that, I think we were just clinical when we needed to be. We did a great job of screening him at times. There was little things like when we were screening Laverick, their defense they just didn't seem to like lift a stick or do anything. And then I think it was Ethan Mayo with this from the blue line, and I think one of the McKinneys was from the blue line or near that point as well. McKinney's first goal was brilliant. He like Spinorama L2 if you're playing on the PlayStation. Took it past the defender at our blue line and went forward. Great puck protection, just showing his experience there and slotted it home. That was a great goal by him.
Yeah, on Laverick, he is a listener. He does message me, so a shout out to him. We're not trying to boost his ego too much, but a fantastic netminder. Doesn't have the best defense in front of him in Solihull.
No, I'd agree with that. And I
Alex
think he
White,
took
I
advantage
think,
of it.
yeah, I think Alex White is different class as a defenseman. But I think the loss of Crow really hurt them this year.
No, I'd agree with that. I mean, well, it's showing it in the results, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you need a stacked roster in this league, especially now. And the there is some other good players on there, like the likes of like Alex White, like you said, Charlie Webb's a good player. Um, but you take that first line away, they've
Yeah, I
what
mean,
else have they got?
and this is what the good teams can do. Like Wes Birmingham have three great lines. One of those lines can't be used as a shutdown line.
Hmm.
So if you go up against Mossy, Grittens, and Lucas Dowdle, and they're shutting down your first line of Otterson, Mackay, it just means you're giving the freedom to someone like Sykes, Brown, and Elder, which you don't really want to do. And that's the same with you guys. I mean, you could probably put a line together there that could shut down a top line, and then you've got what Barnes, Royds, and Riddick left free to run riot basically.
Yeah, and I mean our first line of Pollitt, Darius Borforth, who's going to be an amazing player, by the way. Definitely one to keep your eye on. And obviously Josh Crawley's proved what he can do. I mean, scored a hat trick in the playoff semi final.
Yeah,
It's good time to be a Hawks fan, and hopefully good going into this weekend as well. But
yeah.
we'll touch on that later.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. That brings us nicely to the next game of the Super Sunday, and that's the Billingham Stars Hull Jets game. Is this a fixture where you think we could get a result here as a Blackburn fan?
I think so. I think every game. I mean, ideally with that fixture, if both teams could lose, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah,
But going into it, when you're looking at all the fixtures for that weekend, I don't think I was pretty far off with it, my predictions of who'd win. But I definitely saw you coming out on top. But Hull are no slouches. They've got some great players. Vlad Volkanovs, Richard Hagger, just to name two. They're a good
yeah,
side, and to with the results that you're pulling in to only get beat the way they did. What was it, 6-1? I think
yeah.
it was. I don't think that's a overly bad performance by them, but
Yeah, the Stars have had the whole Jets number this year, and to be fair, after having the night they had the night before the Stars, it's quite easy to be getting carried away and
complacent. Yeah,
yeah, complacent. But the dominance the Stars showed for the first two periods, I think, I think the Jets were beaten during that dominance. So, and I think the Stars are starting to do that to teams now, a bit like Solway used to. You go into that game and you kind of already feel beaten. It was just how close can you keep it? A bit like as a Stars fan going to Whitley Bay all those years and getting tanked. You just knew you were going to get battered. It was just you were going there and hope to see a good or an improved performance, which never came.
yeah.
And I think the Stars are starting to do that a bit to teams. And I think Hull Jets were a bit like that on Monday, on Sunday. They were a bit sceptical. They were a bit not their usual fast, aggressive, forechecking, quick passing team. They were a bit subjective. They were a bit. They weren't committing to everything they were doing, just in case if they made a mistake, the puck was going the other end, and your chances are it was going to get put in the back of the net. Stars obviously lacking a lot of players still. Didn't have Conor McNulty this weekend. James Moss still banned. He was finishing his final game of his ban. That's what makes some of these results so impressive without James Moss.
The fair
Obviously,
comment. Yeah,
yeah. Darren Statsfield still banned. Ben Greenow picking up a ban, and obviously with Joe Wall's work patterns, he doesn't always is not always available now, and certainly can't always train. Thankfully, he was available Saturday, Sunday. We only had four D men on Sunday, five on the Saturday. And they were just relentless, just absolutely relentless for 40 minutes. No matter what Hull did, they just couldn't live with the Stars. Saying that, a run of the play goal comes from Connor Lewis, putting Hull 1-0 up. But it wasn't long until the Stars came back in, equalised, and then in quick succession, Callum Wilkinson scores goals number 2 and 3, and you just saw the life leave Hull Jets. Hull Jets, though, obviously without the suspended Tom Brealey for somehow fighting a unwilling combatant. We'll talk about that in a bit because I think we both have a bit to say on that one. No Volkanovs.
I was just going to say, was he playing?
Yeah, no Volkanovs, and they started with Brandon Stones in it as well, and not Zach Brown. But absolute kudos to Stones. He had a fantastic game. Like I said, I think he faced 40 shots in the first 2 periods.
Jeez.
Yeah, he faced 40 shots in the first 2 periods. Total of 58 in the game. Still coming out with 52 saves, which is absolute madness. Absolute madness. And the whole
with Volkanovs being there, does that change things, do you think?
No, I think they're a worse team with him. I've seen them 3 times, and he's played once. And the best performances have been without him. The first game we played, he didn't play there, and we annihilated them. It wasn't even funny when we battered them the first time. I think it was like 7-2 or 7-3. It was much easier than what this result was Sunday night. We just dominated them in their place the first time we played them. The second time they came out with a game plan. They looked more cohesive. The lines looked better gelled, and they looked a better team. But unfortunately, still came out on a loss of I think it was 5 or 6-1. And then come third period Saturday night, I think the whole Jets took the period on shots. It was a 0-0 period, but the Stars knew the game was done and dusted, and they did take the foot off the gas, and they just made sure they looked after Jake for the rest of the game and made sure he conceded no more. So it was the Billingham Stars taking another 3 points. As a fan of a rival team to the Stars, we know it's now Billingham Blackburn. That's what it's going to be now.
Yeah,
that's the form. That's what the form tells us. It's what the rosters tell us. When you see a team like Billingham and they beat Hull, when you bring it up on your phone, is it just or a roll of the, or is it like a roll of the eyes go? Is it a roll of the eyes go? And one of these guys gonna drop points? Just because obviously you had an off night and it cost you against Nottingham. I can guarantee you, when I saw that result, I was bouncing around the arena. Because that's cheap points to me. That's a cheap point. It's a cheap 3-point game in my opinion. When you've got 2 teams who are going to battle out for the league title, like D-side, I was getting a bit worried about D-side, but they seem to have fallen off a cliff. Their import seems to have gone walkabouts as well. Hasn't scored in 3 games. Wasn't available last week, but we'll get into that in a minute. But how do you feel as like I say, a rival fan, and there's a tight? You see the league table now; it's 12 points. Are you plotting out the table? Are you plotting out the fixtures? Going, it could be this game where they lose points. And
I mean, when I saw the result against you and the Jets, I wasn't surprised. I knew you were going to win that game. Scoreline probably about where I'd have put it. I think in my head, I think I had it about 8-2. I thought it was going to be. It'd have been nice if you'd have lost it. I mean, like I said earlier, if you could both lose that game, that'd be fantastic. But the league format changing to 3 points for a win has really stepped things up, because we could have done with you losing that game. Your performance this year, you can't knock it. It's been fantastic. You've picked up result after result after result after result. It is getting a bit tedious.
Yeah. Well, this is what I was trying to say. Like last year, I think the Stars went on a 12-13 game unbeaten run, but they never got that reward. They never got the reward of the points gap that they deserved. Yeah. So when it came to the end of the season, I think we had us winning the league by 2 points, 3 points.
Yeah, 2 points against Solihull. Yeah, but we were 4 behind, I think.
But that wasn't the story of the season, because honestly, I felt the Stars dominated that run they went on last year. no one got near us. We battered everything that was put in front of us, and obviously we got to the cup games and shit the bed, and had a tough season for the rest of the running, and we scraped over the line. This year looks different. I'm not going to lie, the lads look more determined. They look like there's unfinished business, and it looks like there's one or two more trophies that they want to win. But yeah, I mean, I got every result bang on this weekend, and I don't see where the losses are coming for rival teams either, apart from when they play each other, which then that can't be picked.
Yeah,
Um,
that's fair. I mean, like you say, you've had a fantastic run. I think you're due a loss. I'm hoping that's this weekend. Um, but what will be will be. I think the best man will win on that occasion. I think.
yeah, I think we'll go through it in a bit as well because I think the Stars have a bit of a naughty running up until the new year. But we do have one more fixture of the Super Sunday. I think it's probably the most surprising of the weekend. Not
I'd
the
say,
team. Um, I I have no qualms with the Warriors winning. I did pick them to win by maybe one or two, but the Warriors run riot on the D-side Dragons, 12-2.
yeah, definitely not the scoreline I expected. When I saw on social media the roster that they were taking up the Dragons, Whitley's a tough place to go, and it's an even tougher place to go short benched. I think we both know that. Um,
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think the one thing I've been saying on the Starcast is if you go somewhere underprepared or short benched, you're going to get it given to you. And I think this is a prime example of that. Obviously, there was no Ross Kennedy. He was banned for four
yeah,
games. I think he got off very lightly for his ban, by the way. It's something that we'll talk about in a minute. I think he got off very, very lightly. Peed me off a bit, to be honest. Um, but yeah, no Ross Kennedy. We've got like 30 odd points for them already. Granted,
yeah,
20, 25, 26 are assists, but he's obviously someone who's feeding Hayuk and Hayuk, I can't even pronounce his name,
yeah.
and obviously no Witkowski,
Witkowski.
which is a loss for anyone. Yeah, granted, he hasn't scored for the previous three previous games, but he's still a presence on the ice. He's still someone who you have to pay attention to. He's someone you've got to mark, maybe double mark, because you don't want to give him a bit of room. And obviously, the Warriors had that luxury of not having to worry about him.
Yeah,
And the race out to a 3-0 lead in the first period, and there's no looking back.
no. I mean, that D-side roster that did go up, I mean, you've still got some people that are capable of picking up some points. Gary Simpson, I mean, we'll touch on that later. Jared Dickinson, great player at this level. And Jacob
Ha, ha,
Hayek.
Hayek, yeah, it's one of them.
Someone will have to at us in the comments and just tell us how you pronounce that so we don't have to butcher it.
Yeah.
But yeah, solid performance by the Warriors in terms of putting the points on the board.
Yeah, I mean, it is a statement win. It'll certainly get their fans geared up for the fixtures that are to come. They'll probably think that they maybe some silverware for them available this year. They're still in the cup in Group
Yeah,
A. They've still got a long way to go in that. Obviously, they're a team that teams want to avoid in their own barn.
yeah,
They don't travel too great, which obviously for a fan of yourself of the Blackburn Hawks, you're pleased to know that Billingham is only 40 minutes away from Whitley Bay, so they'll probably travel quite well for that one because they have a double header between Christmas and New Year.
yeah,
So two fixes to look out on. Obviously, it came out on Monday, the major incident. Everyone knew it happened on Sunday night. Everyone kind of accepted it for what it was. Everyone was saying the same thing. It was a good, clean hit to the chest. No call on the play. But Gary Simpson leaves the game, I believe, on a stretcher.
yeah. That's what I heard as well. Yeah,
So he leaves the game injured to a clean hit. And then all hell breaks loose on Monday. We are privy to some footage and videos of what's going on. It's not a nice hit at all.
yeah. I've seen some pictures of it. It's not pretty. I mean, it's a fast-paced physical sport. I mean, you could almost say it's a collision sport. But the stills that I've seen and from speaking to people that were at that game, and yeah, it wasn't. it's not a nice hit, and I think he's just got to own it, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it's everything that every hockey league in the world are trying to stamp out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
Granted, it was probably a hit that was made 25 years ago. That way of hitting, that style of hitting, was probably made that long ago. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if that's through his chest, it's a great hit.
yeah. No, I'd agree with that.
But unfortunately, it's straight through the head. The helmet comes off violently. It's not what we want to see in the sport. Unfortunately, Dean Holland has a history with suspensions, which DOPs don't like. Any sort of previous history, the DOPs will come down on you, and we'll probably have to wait until Saturday morning, the very last minute for the public, the fans to find out, which I think is bullshit, by the way. It's a sport for fans. There's a big following in this division, and I think they deserve to be treated better when it comes to decisions like this.
Yeah, I mean breakfast and bands on a Saturday morning, but that I mean that look the pictures that I've seen. Gary's got his head down going into it, which rule 101, always keep your head up. But
Yeah, a suicide, yeah, from the video. It's a suicide pass from a teammate.
yeah, yeah, hospital pass, and then from the clips the pictures I've seen, sorry, he does have time to target his hit. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
He has enough time to make that decision.
yeah. I
And
think
from go on,
Dean
sorry.
Dean Holland's in full control of that situation.
Yeah,
He can decide what he does in that moment. I mean, he can drop his hands and hit him with his own chest, and that's probably a good hit.
yeah,
But unfortunately, he uses his hands. His hands are at head height, and he pushes through with a hit through his head, so it looks like he's punching him in the head. That's how it looks obviously in the stills that we've looked at ourselves. Obviously, I've seen the video as well, and it's how it looks. It's not a good look, and like I say, the DOPs will deal with it however they see fit. However, that is anyone's business. I mean, you've got more chance of guessing Euro Million. You've got more chance of guessing the Euro Million numbers for 150 million quid than you have guessing what they're going to do on Saturday morning. Well, the decision's probably already made as we speak now.
yeah.
Wednesday, Thursday, I think the decisions are made. Would like to say, but we don't find out until Saturday morning. Like you said, breakfast and buns.
I think just touching on that, the DOP situation, like there's always the argument that it's not fit for purpose, but the communication to clubs, it needs to be quicker. I think the majority of clubs, from my understanding, find out on the Friday when most teams train on, say, a Wednesday or a Thursday. I think that's probably consistent up and down the league for ice
Yep.
time availability. You should know at that training session that that player has a suspension coming up.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I tell you what, we're on DOPS. We might as well keep on DOPS.
Strap yourselves in.
Yeah. I made a promise myself this year that I wasn't going to get into this, but it has pissed me off. It really has. So Ben Greenhow gets a ban from the Leeds game. He gets a 4-game hit. I can't be asked to find it to read you the crap that they come out with. But Ben Greenhow makes a big shoulder-to-shoulder hit in the face-off circle. Unfortunately, the lad is thrown into the board from a bit of distance, a fair bit of distance, and he busts his nose open. We found out afterwards he took a puck to the face 2 weeks earlier, and his nose was already fragile.
Okay.
So they've stated an injury in that write-up, yet the nose was already injured. This is a shoulder-to-shoulder hit in the face-off circle. 4 games. 4 games. Ross Kennedy, which I think Hull Jets have got themselves into a bit of trouble, for deliberately attempting to injure somebody, had no regards for player safety, gets 4 minutes for kneeing.
Yeah.
He then has a fight with
4
someone.
games. Yeah.
Has a fight with someone in the last 2 minutes of the game, which Mossy and Darren Stattersfield were both banned for. And they got 4 games each for that, because they were fought in the last 2 minutes of the game. It was actually the handshake, but it still applies. He avoids a ban in that because he is the victim. Because
From the clip I saw.
he's an unwilling combatant. is Ross Kennedy. He's unwilling. He throws the first punch, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
Tom Braley comes in, sees a teammate down. I don't think Tom actually wants to fight, but he's doing I'm sticking up for my teammate because I'm the captain. It's the right thing to do. He drops his gloves to a point where he pushes Ross. Ross is ready to go to war.
Yeah.
But he's the unwilling combatant. Are you
in-
taking my mind away?
No. Yeah, I mean, they retracted it, didn't they, quite quickly and changed the statement. I think Hull were very clever in putting that out. I think.
I think the clubs should be doing this. They've got to get these decisions right.
Yeah. I mean, it's with Ross Kennedy. It's a strange one because he doesn't need to do stuff like that. He's a great player in his own right. That the knee, it's blatant. The video shows that. You don't need to lie about it. You don't need to fabricate it or whatever.
He sticks the knee out.
Yeah, it's intentional, and we've seen that how bad injuries can be from incidents like that. And I think it was lucky. But then to say that he was an unwilling combatant in a situation where he throws the first punch, again, that's on video. You can see that. It's baffling. I don't understand that.
Yeah, so he should have walked away with probably 8 games for me in that situation. If the rules are applied, if it's true that it's last 2 minutes of the game, it's 3 to 5 games for fighting in the last 3 to 5 games. Obviously, that's done for a reason. It's to stop teams who are losing 15-0. Go on a blowout and kick shit out of everyone. That's what it's there for.
Stop a goon show at the end.
Yeah, that's what it's there for, and it works to a point because it very rarely happens. But you see it blatantly. He needs him. He intentionally, deliberately injures someone and gets the same as someone who makes a shoulder-to-shoulder hit. It blows my mind. It really does. It's like you read it and you're like, please make it make sense. For me, they've got to get rid of this. Get rid of it. Get rid of it until games can be watched properly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I'm a hockey fan, and I might be a bit big-headed and a bit biased. I probably know a bit more than the general fan. A bit like you. I would be happy if they sent me 2 games to watch on a Sunday night or a Monday night, give me a list of stuff that they want me to look out for, like time-stamped it, and said, right, watch these 2 games, let us know your thoughts at these time points. And obviously have a sheet and fill out what you see. Send them back, let a referee go, right, he saw this, it's not how I saw it, or whatever, anything like that.
And, you could incorporate it into training for referees.
Absolutely. It improves everything. But yeah, just if it's not working, just get rid of it until it works. Don't try and blag your way through it because it just pisses everybody off. Pisses clubs off because you can't appeal. It's not worth appealing.
Oh, we talked about that in 4,000 last season, didn't we? And how that was run.
Yeah.
It does need to be changed, and there's just the lack of consistency is frustrating because as a governing body and a department of player safety, you need to have these processes, procedures, and processes that need to be consistent, and they're quite clearly not because it just seems to be, oh, well, it's that one this week, it's this one. It's like an advent calendar.
Yeah. I don't think there's any element of common sense because there's a rule book in place with tariffs. They read it like it's the Bible. Get rid of this tariff malark and just go on what you see. Right, Ben Greenhow made a good shoulder-to-shoulder hit. It's mid-ice. The lads unfortunately hit the boards, bust his nose. The call on the ice is correct. I don't mind the 5 in the game call at the time. I really don't mind. It's how the referee saw it from his angle. He thought it was worse than what it was. 5 in a game. I'm happy with that. But then Dobbs should pick it up and go, you know what? It's not a ban. We're happy with just the 5 in the game. Or you know what? Let's just give him the 1 game and it's done with. And do it on that basis. Like a couple of weeks ago, I spoke to you about it. One of our Ian Brown got a check to the head. Dave Emerson calls 2 minutes for check to the head. I thought we were cutting this shit out of the game. Just call a 5-minute major. Just call it a 5-minute major. Kick the lid out of the game. It's only 1 game. Dobbs can then look back at it and go, you know what? He barely touches him. He doesn't even brush his head. He's made a meal of it. Call on the ice stands. We move on. No bans given. But because of this tariff system, because it was called on the ice, we've got to give a minimum of 4 games. Bullshit. No, you don't. Call it as you see it.
Yeah. The the officials, it's hard not to ref bash sometimes, and it is frustrating as fans. Um, they do get a rough ride of it, don't the officials? But they can only call what they see. They're only human beings at the end of the day.
And this is where DOPS can help them,
Yeah,
not let them down.
yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah.
I
But
just
yeah.
I don't see how and when changes are coming, but there needs
Yeah.
to be.
It just
My understanding was they were coming.
yeah. Same here. And I think it'll only a time will tell. Like I'm not asking for the 100% right process to be in place tomorrow. I understand these things take time, but it doesn't look like we're leading up to the right process. Like National League got it right. They just pissed off and did their own thing and pay for it. Do you know what I mean? They just thought, you know what, we're taking it away from you. We're going to go and employ 2 people, and then we're going to get the right decisions all the time. And I believe, is it an ex-referee? Dave
Yeah,
Cloutman, is it?
yeah.
Dave Cloutman?
I believe he's involved in the decision making. Yeah,
You could do that with ex-players at our level.
it'd be the right thing to do. And ex
You,
players,
you,
ex officials.
yeah, you know him better than me, but I bet what you could watch a game out of our level, of our standard, and be able to say that's a shit hit. That's fucking 10 games, or no, good hit. That it's not worth nothing. He's been in the game. He's played the game the way he played the game for as long as he did, to know the right and wrongs of the sport.
I'm sure there's lots of ex players that have been more than game for it. And like I said, put it as part of officials training, or do you know what I mean? It keeps the foot in as well, like during the week reviewing games. I think that would be a good way to tackle things.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Anyway, that's me rant on Dobbs for this week. Over and done with. Um, what we're going to do now is we're going to talk about the D-side Dragons because they have been on a little bit of a wobble. They do have some firepower. Currently, obviously, send our best wishes to Gary Simpson and hope
Oh,
he's
100%, yeah.
fit and ready and raring to go. Obviously, he was a big name signing for them just a few weeks ago. Obviously, Mr. Witkowski is also injured, so he took a holiday this week due to injury.
All
Yeah,
right.
whatever, if you believe that, yeah. But yeah, what's going wrong with D-side? Are they putting too much bread into one basket? Are they not spreading the talent around the roster?
That's a great question. That first line's a fantastic line. I think anyone wouldn't mind that at their club, but I think they've been found out quite quickly. I think every team seems to be just following Wikowski every time. In footage that I've seen and different things, there's always 2 players on him every time. Every time
Yeah,
he gets the puck, he's got 2 players trying and like mark him out of the game, which is the smart decision to do, isn't it? It's
yeah.
is a goal threat. And when he's not played recently, they've lacked a little bit of firepower. The score lines have showed that.
I mean, you have played them twice, is that right?
Yeah, we beat them.
Twice.
Yeah,
Have they played Jared and Ross both as forwards?
uh,
Because
yes,
last year they played as D-men.
yeah, they played them both as forwards in those games. Obviously, we beat them in the first meeting and lost in the second meeting. They played as forwards in both those games. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, could they spread that talent a bit rounder and strengthen that defense up? I mean, they're going up against a defense that has Carl Bacon in it. I'm sorry, but that doesn't scare. Like, I don't want to knock the guy because he's probably giving his 110% every night. He's a tough guy for them. He makes a stand. He looks after the guys that are skilled guys. But if I'm a coach and I see him out on the ice, you know who I'm targeting. I'm tagging his side of defense because for one, I know he's not a strong skater, and
Yeah.
two, I know I have a forward that'll dance around him in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, Carl. Shout out to Bacon. But defensively, like, I mean, who have they got really? Let's just go through them. So you got Cade King, who is a good stay-at-home defenseman, I think, on his day.
I wouldn't say he was a top 40 man though.
No, I'd agree with that.
I'd say he's a bottom pairing.
And then you've got Will Harper, which a very good antagonizer, very good
Yeah,
antagonizer.
I would say he's a fifth, fourth D man.
Yeah. Wayne, Matty Wainwright, I have a lot of time for him. Such a nice guy.
Great lad. Loved him for all the years that he's played hockey. But again, he's not a first line partnership.
I think he has been playing first line minutes for them, hasn't he? I think.
Yeah, yeah. I think he's a 3-4 D man.
And then you've got, is it Ollie Howells? I think he's a D man as well. Is
Young
he?
lad. He's the young lad, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, 85, I think he was.
Yeah, very young, so still learning his game.
And then you've got, bloody hell, need to get me like footy manager brain out here. Uh,
Yeah.
Ryan Broster Jones, Brost.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's safe to say they're lacking something in that defensive zone.
Oh, yeah,
And I mean, Ross Kennedy is a D-man for as long as I've known him.
yeah. Is
I
it?
mean, I know he can play forward and he's very skilled. He's a skilled hockey player. He can play forward, he can play D. He's a very talented player. But when you're lacking that much defensively, surely you've got to put him and Jared back there and help out a bit, and then leave that top line up there with Witkowski, Jacob Hayek, and another. I mean, it could be any one of them. It could be Parsons. He's a good quality player. Could be Alex Parry, who knows his
Yeah,
way
he's a good player.
who knows his way around the ice. Um, well, obviously, and you had Simpson until the injury. They could have stacked the first line that way.
Yeah, that'd have
And
been a fairly good first line, wouldn't it?
yeah, and obviously had them as your top three, and then had your D men as Dickinson and Kennedy, and you've got a strong five there as a first line. But you've obviously got the ability to put them two defensemen out against other better forwards as well.
Yeah, I think he'd be a great two-way defenseman at this level, Kennedy. It's strange, really, because I think in the majority of British hockey, besides the elite league, D men aren't. If you're a true stay-at-home defenseman, you're not appreciated.
Yeah,
I think our league's a forwards league, isn't it? That that's where the glitz and the glamour is, I guess. But I love a good two-way defenseman. I think one of my favourite players is Crystal Tang, so there's no surprises there. But
yeah.
yeah,
I was brought up on Nick Lindstrom, so I love the good two-way D man.
yeah. Well, Tommy Spraggan, there you go.
Yeah, and Tommy Spraggan, even James Helens. I mean, I'm trying to, the stats aren't up to date. Joe Scott, you get your stats up to date. Stop going on holiday. I'm just trying to quickly look, just to give you an example of scoring D-men. Yeah, Tommy Spraggan. I know these aren't true, but Spraggan 16 points, Greenhow 18 points, James Helens 12 points, Joe Dowdle. Oh no, I'm reading the penalty minutes there. So start again there. Sorry, so Spraggan 16 points, Greenhow 9 points, Helen 7 points, Dowdle 7 points. Even Darren Statterfield's got 5 points. But something with all those D men have got in common is they've actually all scored so far this year.
Yeah,
They're not just assists. So they're D men who are moving the puck very, very quickly forward. And obviously we do have the standout in Tommy Spraggan, who's now on his two-way with Hull. And I think he'll make hay in that roster, to be fair.
yeah. Thoroughly deserved. Big shout out to him. I think. I'm just looking at ours as well. I mean, David Uranox, love him or hate him. I think he's a great player. 10 points, 5 goals.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to play in those situations where he's playing with the better forwards on the power play as well, which obviously will always improve production.
He's playing at his natural position, Davids, and I think I said at the start of the season on Hawks Talk that I think it's going to be the making of him, and I think he's had a fantastic season so far.
Yeah, so that was one hell of a Sunday. There's 5 big games there.
Yeah,
Let's just quickly run through those results because we've waffled a bit quite about them as well. So we'll go from top to bottom this time. So it was the Whitley Warriors hosting the Deeside Dragons, running out 12-2 victors, out shooting the Dragons 58-34. Billingham Stars take on the Hull Jets at the Forum, coming out 6-1 winners, out shooting them 58-35. Solihull Barons outshoot the Blackburn Hawks 44-32, but are on the wrong side of an 8-3 scoreline. Widnes Wild lose at home again and are outshot on home ice 34-40 by the Sheffield Scimitars, who win 5-2. And it's the backwards going Leeds Knights who lose out 7-1 against the Nottingham Lions, who do outshoot them 56-24. So that brings us on to the league tables. Is it something you want to talk about? The league
Uh,
tables? You don't want to look at this one?
we can talk about it.
Are you doing all right down there? Can barely see you, 12 points behind.
That's that
Right.
3 point per win, isn't it? Coming into
Yeah.
play.
I don't even know what I've done with my league table. It's on one of these boards. I've got too many pages open. That'll teach me. Yeah, you think I should be good at this by now?
It's just part of the fun.
Yeah, it is. So we do have right at the top the Billingham Stars, defending morally champions. They are 15 games in, 112 goals scored, and it's 14 wins and one loss for 42 points. The Blackburn Hawks are in second.
Defending playoff and League Cup champions.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, don't forget the M52 trophy or whatever it is called. So,
M56 Club. Have
yeah,
you seen that trophy, by the
the
way?
the M56. Yeah, I can tell you who bought it and all. It's 14 games played, 10 wins, and a massive four losses already for the Blackburn Hawks.
Yeah.
Are they going to rue one of those two losses
I think
already?
I've said to a lot of people, yourself included, that the one that sticks out for me that I hope doesn't come back and bite us in the arse is the one at home to Nottingham. Watching that game, it was incredibly frustrating, and I just hope that that's not the one that costs us.
Yeah, if you lose the league by 3 points, you know which one it was.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you kind of hope if you do lose the league title and you lose it by 6 points, you're kind of feeling a bit better about yourself, thinking that game didn't cost us in the end.
yeah,
But then, did it cost you in momentum? It's a funny old thing, isn't it? Like you say, it only takes one loss for the Stars, and toys could come out of the pram and you fall off a cliff as such, and they could go on a losing streak. That's the wonderful thing about this sport.
yeah. And this time of year, injuries start to come into play.
Yeah.
Obviously, the gong show that is Dops comes into play.
Yeah, I mean, so far so good for the Blackburn Hawks. They haven't really been on the end of anything, have they, injury wise or dops wise?
No, I think we've been okay so far. Couple of
Yeah,
little niggles here and there, but
yeah,
nothing major.
yeah. I think touch wood, we have no more run-ins with dops. I think we've had our fair share of them this year already. Um, but yeah, so like I said, it's the Blackburn Hawks in second place, 14 games, 10 wins, four losses, 86 goals scored for 30 points, a massive 12 behind the Stars already. The whole Jets in third, that early season form doing them well. 9 wins, one overtime win, so not the full amount of points they should have got for a win. Five losses, 63 goals scored, 29 points. Right on your tails. A loss on Sunday could be massive and crucial for you. Well, especially because you probably expect Hull to win at the weekend.
Yeah,
D-side Dragons in fourth, 14 games played themselves, 9 wins, five losses, 71 goals scored, 27 points. Again, how are they going to react with everything that's gone on? Obviously, the ban to Ross, the injuries to Gary Simpson, and just how injured is James Witkowski, if he's injured at all. The Whitley Warriors in fifth place, started the season well, went through a little rough patch, started to go about their business again. 13 games played, 8 wins, an overtime loss, four losses, 63 goals scored, 25 points. Sixth place, Solihull Barons. Never thought I'd expect to be saying this in November. 14 games played, 7 wins, one overtime win. That game in Leeds, which could
yeah,
cost them dearly. Six losses already. 58 goals scored, 59 goals conceded. So you can see it's the back end for them.
yeah. It's,
And
it's uncharacteristic, isn't it?
it is, yeah. And it's 23 points on the board for them. Seventh place, and in a bit of a no man's land are the Nottingham Lions. 13 points, 13 games played, 6 wins, 7 losses, 48 goals scored, 18 points. Only five behind the Barons, actually. If they get a win, they're only 2 points behind. It could be a nightmare of a season for the Barons. Way back in eighth is the Sheffield Scimitars, who was give themselves a little bit of breathing space after their terrible start to the season. Sheffield Scimitars, 16 games played, 3 wins, an overtime loss, 12 losses, 36 goals scored, 10 points. Ninth place is the league's new boys, Leeds Knights, 14 games played, 2 wins, an overtime loss, 30 goals scored, 7 points on the board. And it's the Widnes Wild, who 14 games played, just the one overtime win, 13 losses, 106 goals conceded, and 2 points on the board.
Um,
And
It's not good reading, that is it, for the Wild, is it?
no, I mean, I could probably do a whole podcast on them, to be fair. But no, their own fans are giving them a hard time at the moment. Anything on the league table that sticks out for you? And even if it's the home or the away records. Obviously, the Stars are the only team not to lose a game at home so far,
Yeah,
and it could be that it's the home fortress that gets them over the line come March time.
yeah. Uh, you can't knock that. I mean, the results don't lie, do they? That's quite impressive at this level, especially with how tight and competitive this league is. The one that obviously stands out for everybody, I think, is the Solihull Barons one.
Yeah, I didn't realize the goals for and goals assist were that bad. Considering the firepower they've got as well, to only have 58 goals scored so far, but to concede more than they've scored, I'm quite shocked at that. Like I say, they've lost 3 games at home. Yet the Stars can't buy a win there, no matter what. The Stars can't buy. It's crazy. Um, and
It's
then
strange as well because of Laverick. I mean, we've both mentioned him. We're both fans of him. He's a great netminder at this level. And is it from what I've seen of him in the 2 games? He's had good games. I
yeah,
think it's just a defensive problem.
yeah. Someone did ask me the question, and I'm going to give it to you. Did the Solihull Barons overachieve last season?
That's a great question.
And are we seeing the true Solihull Barons right now?
Uh,
I'm not saying
yeah,
who asked me because I'm not boosting his ego either.
it's a great question. I mean, prior to that, I think the 23 season, what did they finish like fourth, I think.
Yeah,
So they've always been around the top. I think they were due a decent year, and I think they had it. I just think they've rode the wave, and I think it's on the waves coming to the end now. Does that make sense?
yeah. Like I say, Mortison's been there 10 years now. He ain't a spring chicken.
Yeah,
I believe he's had knee surgery as well, so he's getting older. It does look to be a bit of an aging roster. It's not full of the under 19s, so I don't really know what's coming through.
yeah.
But yeah, it's just it was a good question that someone asked me. And I thought, fair point. There, are we hyping? Are we? Because obviously
No,
they've got very dedicated fans, and we see the same names on social media,
yeah,
always talking them up, and you think, well, obviously they watch them week in, week out. They've got to be talking a bit of sense, surely.
yeah.
But when he asked me, did they overachieve last year? At the moment, you're probably going to say, probably, yeah, they did.
Well, looking at that, where they are now, that's a fair comment. I think they're a top four team. I don't think there's any denying that, but not at this rate. Some changes are needed there, and especially like with the injury to Phil McCarthy or Mulcahy,
Yeah,
however you want to pronounce it. Like, hopefully he gets better soon. Not a nice time to have an injury as well.
no,
But how much of an impact is that going to add when most of the points come from that first line?
I believe the Stars play them in 2 weeks, so I'm not too disheartened to see that. Just to see that the top line's missing a guy. But no. So my next question actually is, and it's more playoff related. How important is it finishing in the top four this year to get that advantage, especially with semi-finals being home and away this time round as well?
Um,
Is it at our level? Is it massive? Like if you look at the Stars' home record, they're 9-0. Blackburn Hawks are 4-2. Hull Jets are 5-3. If they get somewhere back to where their home form was last year, they're going to be a nightmare on home ice. D side are 5-1.
Yeah.
Whitley Warriors are 4-1-2. Barons are 4-0-3. I won't go down to Nottingham.
I mean,
Uh,
with how competitive the league is this year, um, I think you've got to take any advantage that you can get.
yeah,
With the way it's looking at the minute, I don't think it's a massive factor. But like I say, you need to take every advantage that you can get, and if you can control that a little bit by performing throughout the regular season to get that advantage, then yeah, you need to.
yeah. So what I'm going to say next is take your heart away from this situation. It's all about the head, common sense time. Is everybody battling for third and fourth other than Billingham and Blackburn?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, yeah. So are you stapling Billingham first, Blackburn two, or are you stapling them two as the top two?
Top two, I think.
They're
I
the top
think.
two.
Um,
So
I don't think Hull.
one,
Oh, it's
one,
that
two,
bank
three,
of
four.
three, isn't it? The
Yeah.
Jets, Dragons, and Warriors. I don't think they're going to be that far behind, but I do.
I'm going to throw Barons into that mix. I am going to put Barons in. So Jets, Dragons, Warriors, Barons are all fighting for the last two top four spots.
Yeah.
It's going to be a cracking season if that's how it pans out.
Oh no, I know, I hope it does for everybody.
Yeah. Like I say, I'm not going to go too much into the cups just because they're not completed yet. I know the Hawks and the Jets have both qualified. I believe
Yeah.
they have a game against each other, which will probably decide the group. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think so. I'm looking at the
I,
fixtures now.
I'm not reading that grid. I don't do grids.
I've seen that on
Uh,
your, well, listened to
yeah,
that on your previous ones.
I absolutely hate them. Obviously, the Stars have got 4 games left. I think it's the last 4 games of the year, so I'm not even going to try and work out what's going there. So let's just go into next weekend's fixtures. We'll quickly skate over these because obviously there's a main fixture to go. We've got another Super Sunday coming, but the fixtures don't really align for us this time round.
Yeah,
But on Saturday we have the Nottingham Lions hosting the Whitley Warriors for a 1 o'clock face-off in Nottingham. That's an early morning start for the Warriors.
definitely. So it's a long trip at that time in the morning.
Yeah, if the Lions won, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
I think the
me,
Warriors, I think the Warriors will win. I would just think if the Lions won, that I wouldn't be surprised.
yeah, I'd go for a Warriors win. I mean, I suppose we've got to see what happens with Dops. I mean, with the way that teams find out, they might only find out a couple of hours before that game. So
Yeah. Yeah. Also on the Saturday, the Hull Jets host the Solihull Barons.
that's a big game, that I think.
League and Cup as well. So obviously means nothing for the Barons, but if the Hull Jets can get a win there, obviously does their winning the group and avoiding Billingham.
Yeah,
Chances are avoiding Billingham are good. I think this game's huge. 7:30 in Leeds on Saturday night. I wouldn't be surprised if Leeds United are at home in that face-off.
yeah,
Leeds Knights host the D-side Dragons. The battered and bruised Dragons. It'll be interesting to see how they bounce back and to see if Leeds Knights make any progress after a couple of poor results.
yeah. It's going to be one to watch, that one, I think. Um, for me, I think the Dragons will still win.
I think
I
so.
think,
I think there'd be
I think,
enough there.
yeah, there's enough firepower there in the likes of Dickinson and a few of the others we've mentioned.
And Jake Witkowski going back on old home ice.
Oh yeah, yeah, a bit of familiarity for him.
He might want to go, hey guys, remember me? I can still do it at your level.
Yeah, well, he's more than capable of putting a few past them, isn't it? It'd be
Please get.
interesting to see if he's back. I'm not sure if he will be or
Yeah. Moving into Sunday, we have the D-side Dragons hosting the Widnes Wild.
that colossal derby.
Yeah, yeah. Massive, massive game. I think the Whitley Warriors hosting the Leeds Knights will be as easy as it gets for the Whitley
I
Warriors.
was going to say they must be going for a 6 point weekend. I think anything less than that, they'll be a bit disappointed in that.
Absolutely. The Sheffield Scimitars host the Hull Jets. I can't see nothing but a Hull win, but
No,
then you
I
just
agree.
the Nottingham Lions have the late game against the Solihull Barons. But after Barons traveling to Sheffield, that'll all depend on how well they travel and the mentality and how well they prepare this week in training.
Yeah,
that could be a sticky game for them. Obviously, not a lot of travelling to do for them,
yeah.
but enough. And then there's the littlest game of the weekend, and that's the Blackburn Hawks hosting the defending champions, the Billingham Stars, for the first time this year.
Yeah, the playoff champions are hosting the league champions. Um, yeah, I think it's one that I think a lot of eyes around the league will be looking at. If past fixtures are anything to go by, it's going to be a great game.
Well, I hope everything goes like it did in the league last year. If I'm being quite honest, obviously the Stars took 3 of the 4 league games,
Yeah,
winning both league games in Blackburn. Obviously, this is a league game, so the cup is irrelevant. Um,
I mean, your last visit to Blackburn wasn't the best, was it?
but that was, like I say, that was a cup game, so it, it makes it irrelevant. I'm just a bit gutted that Stars won't be at their full strength. They won't be at full strength. Obviously, 2 D men still carrying bans.
Yeah,
So it'll be a big job for the Stars defensively on Sunday. But yeah, I think I'm cool about it. Even if we lose, I'm cool about it because I think it resets us.
yeah.
I
Like
think,
I said earlier, I think you're due a loss, and hopefully it's something that we can give you.
yeah,
Um, both teams are stacked in terms
yeah.
of forwards. Both teams rolling 3 full lines of players that are more than capable of scoring.
It's been one to look forward to. I think a lot of the league and a lot of people around hockey at an NHL level will be certainly keeping an eye on that game.
Definitely.
And to be honest, I think most of the league will be rooting for the Hawks. Just to put a title race on the board. Um, I'm sure everyone would like the teams to be on equal points,
Yeah.
equal games, 2 games each. So there's no bragging rights. I think that's what the league would love. I think that's what the IH would love. I think that's what all the fans, other than our own fans, would love. Just to see them going hammer and tong every weekend and see who ends up the best.
If you were to pick well a prediction or anything for that game, what would you be going for?
4-2 Stars. 4-2 Stars. I just don't think Ian Brown's stoppable right now.
Um,
I just, I
is it
think, I think we are just that little bit better defensively than you, man for man.
we defensively in previous seasons is something that we have lacked. I think we have improved on that with Davids making the step back. Obviously, like Bobby Streetley, fantastic player at this level. Lucky to have him. Um, I mean, I think he's still got Vlad's Volkanovs in his back pocket, so that's probably why he didn't play at weekend. Matty Cross, who I think is one of the most underrated D men in our league. I think he's very consistent. His name doesn't get bandied about enough for me. Liam Hines, a great player defensively as well. Definitely one to watch for the future. And Bailey as well. I mean, Bailey's got a lot to live up to. His dad, probably one of the best British defensemen we've ever produced, I guess. He's definitely in the conversation for that. His dad, isn't he? So
Yeah,
a lot to live up to, and he had a solid performance against the Barons. So I'm more than confident he can do that against you guys. Obviously, last time you came to Blackburn, Adam Barnes ran riot. Um,
yeah,
we'll have to see what Dop says about some of our players because of the hit on Phil Mulcahy at the weekend. So we'll have to see if there's anything comes from that.
Who
Hopefully
made
not.
who made the hit?
James Royds,
James Rhodes.
which he's another person that I think is quite an underrated player in this league. I don't think people talk about him enough.
Yeah,
His goal at the weekend, he scored because the Barons players were just looking to make that hit on him. Went for the hit, missed. Obviously, then come out of position. He just slotted it home. But
yeah,
if he's missing that changes that third line up slightly. But I think we've got the cover to do that now with the likes of McKinney coming in
yeah,
and Aaron Davis. I mean, you know yourself, he's been around long enough. He's a versatile player. He can slot
yeah.
into any line, can't he?
Yeah. From a Stars point of view, obviously we have James Moss coming back. Not a bad player to have
No, definitely not.
coming back in the roster. And I think over the 2 cup games, he was probably the Stars' best player. I think even one of the games he dragged one of your players around for fun, just to try and set a tone, which no one really listened to, really. But no, we've got Moss coming back, and we have the sleeper this year. No one's talking about him. No one's mentioned his name. He's a goal a game. I think he's a bit better than a point a game, and that's Rollins Grittens.
You know, I'm a fan of Rowley.
And he's very dangerous. He's just quietly going about his business. Ian's doing his thing, so he doesn't need to step on it. I mean, God forbid if he did, because I think some of these scorelines could have been in the 30s. But no, he's quietly going about his business. He gets his line mate back in Mossy. But yeah, like I say, Ian Brown's got unfinished business after getting injured in Blackburn last time out. Obviously, that's where he broke his collarbone when he was taken out by Bobby Streetley. So he does have he's got revenge on his mind, and I fully think, and I don't think it's a team that'll come in confident or cocky. I don't think Mikey Elder runs his team like that. They'll be focused, they'll be determined, and Mikey will be the one who sets the tone. I think he did it our place first game of the season. Mikey made a big hit within seconds of the period starting, and the lads followed him. And then there was like a little scuffle with Shuggy, and then I think that just set us apart from you in that first game. The bigger ice, I don't think it will change as much. I think we've got players. I think the first league game we caught you off guard last year, and Tommy Spraggan did a lot of damage in that game. They give him too much room and too much space, which is obviously hard to shut down on a big ice pad.
Yeah.
So I think Tommy Spraggan will have a lot to say. But the biggest two names for me, I'm going to say now, and you'll see it on Stars Cast as well, is Ben Keddy and Jacob Hammond. That's where the game will be won and lost.
Jacob Hammond, I mean, me and you spoke on him quite early in the season. I'd not seen much of him prior to this season, and in that first game of the season, I remember messaging you saying like, fair play, like he's not bad. He's a good netminder, and I think it's going to come down to goaltending, I think, because both teams have the firepower to put points on the board, and I still think Ben Keddy's the best netminder in this league. I'll stand by that, but there's only going to be one winner.
And that's who?
The Hawks.
What do you think? Scoreline?
5-3.
5-3.
Just going back to the Grittans thing, do you think the way the lines have changed around for you guys and Ian Brown performing the way he is, do you think that's taken some pressure off him and made his game improve because he's got a bit more freedom? Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, he was the guy last year. No one really knew what to expect of Ian Brown. Ian Brown didn't know what to expect of UK hockey.
Yeah.
Only what his cousin Tom had told him. And Rowley was with Sykesy and Elder a lot last year. And Ian Brown is only on that line because of Conor McNulty not being available. We are told we have him this weekend. So our three lines should all get their usual line mates back. It'd be interesting to see if the coaches do go that, or if they keep that top line, keep that top line together, and maybe go. I don't know. You might be able to go a little heavier with the second line and say Mossy, Rowley, and probably any one of the other ones, whether it's Shuggy, Carl Wilkinson, Conor McNulty. You could probably really
that wouldn't be a bad line, would it?
Yeah, because obviously we've got the two kids that have come through now in Sam Dowd and Wakefield. So yeah, we've got more coming off the production line, which is fantastic for organisation. And they are energy guys. They are fast. They are energetic. And they will cause a lot of problems, especially on the bigger zones where they can skate freely. And I think if the game went to overtime, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
But I think that suits us more than it does you guys.
I don't know that when it comes down to the crunch, we've had your number. I think when it's come down to pressure situations. I
just think even you only getting 2 points is massive, and if you don't get 3 points, I think it's catastrophic for the Hawks. I really do. I think you've got to take from the network, because we've got you guys, Solihull Barons, you guys on the same weekend. That's the next And then we got to Nottingham, then we got to decide, then it's Warriors. So
Yeah,
but I mean, if you don't take 9 points out of them three, I think you could be struggling.
I think we spoke about this just before you hit record. I think we've made it difficult for ourselves, and we've made it that we need to take points off you, which with the way you've performed this season is not going to be an easy task. So we've only ourselves to blame, but I am confident that we can do that and we can beat you. But equally, you're a team that you've got to be you deserve the respect, I guess. So it's gonna be good, and I should have put it live on YouTube or something. I'm sure they got a lot of people watching because it's going to be a hell of a game.
I totally agree with you. I think that there as well, and yeah, just be interesting to see how well yous are up for the game, because obviously you could be too up for the game. Will there be a fear factor, thinking, Jesus, this team scores goals for fun? Yeah, we score goals, but these score goals as well. I think the Stars average 8 goals a game at the moment this year,
Yeah, we were talking
which
about that. Yeah,
yeah, which is extraordinary, even for hockey at this level. Is It's extraordinary the way they took teams apart. But I don't know how does it play out? Do the Hawks come flying out a million miles an hour and put the pressure straight on, or are they cautious and keep the Stars at arm's length and then build the attack from there?
I think when going back to that cup game, I think we when we've scored quickly against you, it seems to have worked in our favour. I think in previous games, the way you came out in that home game, I remember speaking to you about that. I think it did take us by surprise. I didn't think we expected you to come out as physically as you did. It kind of knocked us off a little bit. So I can't see you coming out the same way again. Um, but
Does Adam Barnes' form worry you a little? And I don't mean form as in he's playing bad. I mean is he's only a goal a game. I mean, would
yeah,
you? I mean, he should be too. He should be what putting Ian Brown numbers up. If we're being completely honest, and there may be a reason why he isn't. Maybe carrying an injury. I don't know. You know better than me, but surely you would be wanting him to be better than a goal of the game at the moment.
I
Just
think
for when you come into these big games.
yeah, I think around about 12 games. I think he's played. I think no, maybe yeah, 12. I think, and he we've got scoring a lot better throughout our roster. I think similar to yourselves, where does that take? I mean, Barnes coming in last season took a lot of pressure off Jacob Lutwich because we did rely on him heavily to score. You've got people like James Riddick who, strangely, he's never involved in the conversation as one of the best forwards in this league, and I think he has fantastic hockey IQ and he goes under the radar a little bit. You've got Josh Crowley, Lee Pollitt, James Royds, Davis. Like we've got scoring throughout our roster.
None of them with magnificent numbers, though, you would say.
No, yeah. I mean, there's some that are pretty much a point a game with their assists as well. But I think
Uh,
we've got good depth,
yeah, it's certainly going to be an interesting one. Like I
definitely.
say, if it goes to overtime, and even if the Stars lose in overtime, I think I'd be coming away as the happier fan.
Well, as we've both kind of alluded to it, it could be a title decider if that does happen.
Yeah, yeah. Like I say, I don't see us losing all three games. We take one of them. We do take one of them. I think the law of averages tell you we take one of them.
Yeah,
Which I think kind of poos on your party a little bit, but without being daft, I think we've got the bigger emotional games to come with like the Warriors,
yeah,
which obviously could take a lot out of us. We don't travel to Solihull very well, and we go there in March. Like I say, we play the Warriors twice in December, and I think we play them twice in March as well.
yeah,
So the running, I mean, our Stars January is an absolute walk in the park. You shouldn't have to say it, but compared to what the run is now to what January is a walk in the park, and to what we're facing now. I just keep saying to our fans, if we come through this patch and we don't lose the game, I think the league need to stand up and say, "Oh shit."
I think if you win all of your games that you've got before Christmas, I mean, there's still a lot of hockey to be played, but that's a tough figure to
Yeah,
reach for someone to catch. So it's like you've said on podcast before, and that 3 points per win has changed things,
Yeah,
and
even
you're reaping
to
the benefits from it.
yeah, even to the point in the overtime periods where it's only 3 points available still, and a loser's going to take 1 point of that,
Yeah.
and that's big right now as well. But yeah, I'm certainly looking forward to a great weekend of hockey and a great Sunday of hockey as well.
Yeah, it should be good. I think game for Saturday will be the Jets and the Barons, and obviously, I don't think anyone will deny the game on Sunday's going to be us and yourselves. So,
Yeah, because you have a little tough run of fixtures as well, don't you? As the Hawks.
well, playing you three out of the next few is not a
Yeah, well,
is a tough ask.
our next 4 games is Hawks 3 times, Barons once. That's the next 4.
A tough run. I think we've got you this weekend. Then we're away to Leeds. I think first weekend in December, and then obviously we've got the back to back with you 7th and 8th of December, and then we've got the Wild at home, away to the Jets, and I think at home to the Scimitars. I could be wrong, and someone will at me in some comments somewhere if I'm
Yeah,
wrong, but
a nice easy run up to Christmas then.
I'll take it.
Yeah, yeah.
After you guys, I think we've got a fairly okay run. I don't see us dropping many points in them three between the Wild, Jets, and Scimitars.
Right. Well, I think we've talked a hell of a lot. It's an absolute bumper episode. I think the weekend of hockey deserved it.
100%, yeah.
The weekend of hockey to come, especially with the Stars Hawks game, as big as it is now, with a lot of the teams obviously dropping points the way they have, deserved a big up. Thanks for joining me, not as an interviewed guest, but as a bit of a colleague this time round, a podcasting colleague, to talk about the league. Like I say, it's just not me talking nonsense by myself. It's good to bounce stuff off other people as well, and it's glad to see that we do share some views, so I'm not all talking completely nonsense.
Thank you for having me on. I appreciate
No,
it being
no,
asked again.
absolutely. It's been great, and I think we might do it more often, especially when we have great weekends of hockey like this, where the fixtures deserve to be spoke about in the credit that they deserve.
No, I agree.
We have a great league. It deserves a lot more eyes on it. It really does. Obviously, the Elite League and the National League get every little ounce of publicity that there is when it comes to hockey. I think even the South gets a little bit more credibility than we do up here. But like I say, we've got a great league. I'm trying to make it more eyes on with Stick to the Pod. You talk about it with obviously Hawks Talk. You bring it up with Banners on the Wall. You're a frequent guest in the chat anyway, on there. And it's just, first of all, I'm promoting this sport, but second of all, promoting our league and our own teams, which is what we do it for.
Definitely, 100%.
So on that note, guys, if you've got any questions, again, drop me on Twitter, Facebook, the email sticktothepod@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts on this episode. Let me know what you think of our guest tonight, Graham Hamilton. Let us know
Only nice comments.
Yeah, let us know if he's talk. Let us know if you want to see more of him. If you saw his haircut, you wouldn't. If you want to see more of it, if you want to hear more of him, or a bit less, do let us know. When the pod is out, please like and share. And thank you for all your time for listening. And thank you for joining me.